If you're not comfortable in the silence, your jurors won't be either. And that pause, the one you're trying to rush through or avoid entirely, that is the very place where your message has the chance to land. Welcome to the Foster Your Voice podcast with me, Kristi Foster. After a 30-year career in music and theater, I never imagined I'd be coaching trial attorneys. But once I entered your world, I quickly realized how critical and underutilized voice is in the courtroom. The truth is, you don't win trials with brute strength. You win with your voice. I'll give you tools to unlock your voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. If you want quick action tips to help you stay calm and in control, keep jurors engaged, and inspire your listeners to action, all through the power of your voice, you're in the right place. I'm Kristi Foster, and I'm here to help you foster your voice. Hello, Foster fam. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Foster Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Kristi Foster, and today we're going to talk about getting comfortable with and confident in intentional, active silence. Speaking of getting comfortable and confident, though, I had to tell you about something that happened to me a few years ago. I guess maybe it's been 7 or 8 years ago now, but I was just reminded of it recently. So 7 or 8 years ago, I went to see a show, a theater production in downtown Portland. I had a great night at the theater. And when I left, I was really surprised to see bumper to bumper traffic. It was like 10 p.m. and the streets were packed and at a total standstill. Well, then I realized an even stranger thing, and that is the cars were empty. Like no drivers, no passengers, just empty cars sitting in a full street. For a second, I kind of questioned all my Sunday school beliefs about the rapture and wondered if I'd missed it somehow. But then I heard a ruckus down the road a couple blocks and I saw a huge crowd gathering. So I wandered down the couple of blocks and joined the crowd, trying to see what was happening. And when the crowd parted, I saw hundreds of people riding their bikes through downtown Portland in their birthday suits, just naked as jaybirds. This is part of what gives this town the slogan, Keep Portland Weird. It's the annual naked bike ride. Now, I'd heard of it before, but had never seen it. And oh boy, there was a lot to see, for better or worse. Well, first of all, I was concerned for the chafing, which some chose to avoid by just standing up to ride. And then I was like, oh, no, sit down, sit down, sit down. It's a whole different visual. There's more and more to reckon with. Now, while it's not an event I could ever see myself participating in, I was struck by the utter joy these folks expressed as they dared to do something counterculture and outside the social norms. They seemed so confident and so comfortable. It wasn't an awkward experience. There was nothing sexual about it. They were just naked and free. And I found myself clapping and cheering and singing along with the parade as music and nakedness filled the streets. And I felt so inspired, not to go and do likewise, but just to examine and ask myself, what prevents me, or does something prevent me from being confident and comfortable in those vulnerable moments? And I think it's a good question to ask and to think about. Maybe on occasion, maybe every few months, just check in. So, what do you think about the naked bike ride? Does your city have something like this? I don't know if it's just a Portland thing. Email me at Kristi@fostervoicestudio.com and tell me about something in your city that keeps it weird, or even better, if you would ever join in the festivities. Hey, real quick, if your jurors look confused when you say liability, standard of care, or damages, they're not tuning out because they don't care. They're tuning out because they don't speak law. I've put together a free guide called Top 20 Legal Terms to Avoid and What to Say Instead. It'll help you simplify your language without losing credibility, so your message actually lands. Download it now at fostervoicestudio.com/top20 or click the link in the show notes. All right, back to the episode. Today, we're talking about something that most people spend years trying to avoid: silence. Now, I don't know about you, but I definitely have felt that social discomfort when silence falls across a dinner party and we're all just racking our brains to think of something to talk about. That's an awkward silence. I've also experienced the anxious silence when forgetting the next line of a script or the next lyric of a song. That's a panicked silence. That's not the kind of silence I'm talking about here. I'm talking about intentional, active silence, the kind of silence that holds power, that, like a rest in music, it holds meaning and suspends the energy. This is the kind of silence that builds trust, the kind that, when used well, can speak louder than anything else in the courtroom. And I'll tell you where this came up for me just recently. I'm part of a small trial group. It's just a few litigators and then me, the non-lawyer juror type person in the group. And once a month, we jump on a Zoom call to watch clips of real trials through Courtroom View Network. We have a subscription to that, and so we look at presentation styles, delivery strategies, and then we talk about what worked and what didn't, what we observed. Now, every time without fail, the attorneys that hold our attention most, the ones we all lean in towards, are the ones who seem just easy in their skin. Not flashy, not performative, but calm, grounded, fully present. They breathe, they pause, they let the room settle before they continue. And because they're comfortable in the stillness, we are too. And that's the thing I want you to hear today. If you're not comfortable in the silence, your jurors won't be either. And that pause, the one you're trying to rush through or avoid entirely, that is the very place where your message has the chance to land. Now, let's just back up for a second. So many of you, especially those of you who are high-performing, deeply prepared trial attorneys, you're used to filling space. You're used to knowing the answers, steering the ship, driving momentum. But here's the reality. The jury doesn't process information at your speed. Your speed is rehearsed. It's quick. It's built from months or years of familiarity with the facts and the law. Their speed is new. It's vulnerable. It's slower. Not because they're incapable, but because they're human and they're trying to learn in real time while managing emotion, confusion, and the pressure of decision making. So when you don't give them time to breathe, when you rush through the sentence that's supposed to matter the most, they don't have time to feel it, to think it through, to anchor it in. What they need more than a constant stream of words is room to process. And that's where active silence comes in. So, what I mean by active silence isn't slouching, isn't checking your notes or looking away while people digest. It's still posture. It's controlled breathing. It's eye contact that says, I trust you to think this through. It's a subtle head nod that affirms, yes, I meant that. Let's just sit with it. It's holding the space instead of grabbing it the moment it opens up. You're not just waiting for your turn to talk again. You are communicating even when you're not speaking. That's what makes it active. Now, studies in neuroscience support this. Our brains learn through spaced repetition. Not just repeated exposure to information, but spaced exposure, meaning there has to be time in between the concepts to absorb, consolidate, and store the message. This is especially true when people are under stress. And we know that jurors who are in a high pressure, high stakes environment asked to make weighty decisions are under stress. Their working memory is taxed. So you rushing through in order to sound smart or stay authoritative is actually making it harder for them to retain anything you said. You want your message to be sticky? You've got to let it settle. Let the silence do some of the heavy lifting. But here's the hard part, though. Silence is uncomfortable, especially when you're the one standing there. It can feel very exposed. It can feel like a void, like you've dropped the ball, like you're losing the room. But that discomfort, that's where the gold is. When you learn to breathe into it rather than escape it, you shift from sounding polished to sounding powerful. You stop performing and you start leading. And I mean that literally. When a juror sees you stay present, grounded, and still, they assume that you know what you're doing. They can trust your case and they can trust you. But when they see you fill every second or apologize with your body or shift your weight in silence, they start to feel your discomfort. And then they're not listening to your words. They're managing your energy. And they don't have room for that. They need all their bandwidth for making sense of the story you've just told. So, how do you get better at this? Well, you have to practice active stillness in low stakes situations. You've heard me talk about this before. And you do that so that in high stakes situations, your body already knows what to do. Practice pausing in conversation. Practice ending a sentence and just being without adding a filler or an or a nervous laugh. Practice breathing low and slow while you wait for someone to respond. Because this isn't about being dramatic. It's about being deliberate. Your presence is part of the message, and that presence doesn't disappear in the silence. It gets amplified. So here's what I want to leave you with. You don't need to fill every second with sound to command attention. Confidence often speaks loudest in the pauses. When you learn to breathe and hold the room with your stillness, when you trust your message to land the first time without rushing to repeat it or restate it, when you stop trying to own the room and start focusing on holding space, your voice gets stronger. Your jurors feel safer. Your message stays longer. So let the silence speak. Let it do the work. And while you're at it, breathe easy, hold the space, and keep fostering your voice. Thanks for pulling up a seat with me today and for being part of the Foster fam. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review or a comment so I can give you a shout out on a future episode. During the week, you can find me on Instagram at Foster Voice Studio, where I'm dropping little nuggets of vocal technique and leadership wisdom. You can also join my mailing list by visiting fostervoicestudio.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'll send a weekly vocal tip every Tuesday directly to your inbox. Until then, keep fostering your voice.